All right, so this month's head movement emphasis is going to be pull counters. Now, first, before we get into what the emphasis is for this particular month and this specific month, we need to explain what pull counters are. Pull counters are using your head as bait or using your head to get away, to pull in the target from your opponent and come back with your own attack. That's the umbrella statement. And so 3 things are necessary when you're working on pull counters. 1, knowing where your head is, knowing where you can take it, and knowing where it can come back in off of your attack. So we're gonna do it in 3 places in 2 ways. We're gonna work on pull counter stationary, we're gonna work on pull counters movement. We're gonna use the heavy bag, we're gonna use the mirror, and we're also gonna use the double end bag to work on our pull counters. Now let's be specific with what pull counter we're working on. We are working on the pull counter where we're taking our head from our front foot to our back foot low to come back in with the right hand. Now that right hand is either going to be over our left toe or over our right toe, depending on where our opponent is. And the shot that we're getting away from is a jab from an orthodox opponent. Now for my Southpaws, you are still going to work on pull counters against an orthodox opponent because that's who you see most. You should be practicing against a Southpaw as well, but Southpaws see more orthodox fighters and orthodox fighters see Southpaw fighters. So for my Southpaw fighters, you are still going to be on your front foot to now come to your back foot. The only difference for you is you are going to throw that left hand over your right toe to get away from, to go back to where that opponent's head is. So my orthodox opponent is throwing a right hand at my head here. I'm pulling to get away. Then I'm coming back in with the left hand there, and I would get away with from their right hand again, but also I can drop down and get into a pull and get into a left hand over my left toe as well. So if you guys see, either I'm throwing over this toe or I'm throwing over this toe. So those are the 3 areas that we're gonna work on it. I'm gonna show you step by step how that works, but this is this month's emphasis, a specific pull counter that we wanna add to our arsenal. So let's go over to the mirror first so we can practice this. Now, this may be hard for you guys to see, but there is a seam in this mirror that I'm going to use to make sure my head is on the correct side of the line or where it should be as I'm getting to these stationary pull counters. So me in the orthodox stance, as I'm here, when my head is on this side of the line, that's where I'm assuming the attack is going to go or the jab is going to go because my opponent is going to be attacking at my head. So now when I slip and I pull to come this way, I need to make sure that my head is on the opposite side of the line. Now, when I told you guys before about being able to shoot a shot over your right toe or your left toe, if it is over my left toe, I'm coming back in with the shot that way because that's where my opponent's head is. I also want to make sure I get into my exits. So if I do it again, I'm coming from this side of the line on this seam of the mirror over to the other side to come back in with the right hand. Now I'm getting away. So that is how we would do it stationary from an orthodox standpoint. We can use the mirror to now go ahead and do it from a Southpaw standpoint. Head is on this side of the line. I'm getting away from a right hand. I'm coming back in with my own attack and I'm exiting. Head is over here for bait. I'm getting away. I'm coming back in and then I'm exiting. That would be how you can use the seam stationary to work on your pull counters and understand your head up movement. Now let's go to the heavy bag. Now the heavy bag is a place where you can work on making contact off of your pull counters, working on the technique, making sure that you're getting as much out of your punch as you can off of the pull. But once again, we're just gonna start with our head on the front foot. We're gonna pull to get away. I'm gonna get back in with the shot and I can exit how I want to. But once again, we're using the heavy bag to get into that pull counter and make sure everything's correct. So I'm coming from the front foot, back in with the shot, exit. If I were to do a Southpaw, it's going to be similar. I'm on the front foot, I get away, I come back in with the shot. Front foot, get away, come back in with the shot. That would be how you would work it on the heavy bag. Once again, this is stationary. If you wanted to see what it would look like moving so we understand how we need to focus on our opponent as a moving target as opposed to just stationary all the time. If I would be circling to my left right now and I were to get into the pull counter here, my head would be right here. Now, as my opponent moves to the left that way, they would be shooting the jab at my head. I would now go ahead and get into that back foot and I would shoot that right hand over my right toe because that's where my opponent is circling. So I would move, down, up. I would move, down, up. That's how it would look like slowly off of movement. The last place we'll go to is going to be on the double end bag, but there is a bonus that I want to tell you guys about. We're going to work on it, shadow boxing, because if you don't have access to all this stuff, you still need to go ahead and get your work in. Boxing is a poor man's sport. There's not a lot of equipment that you need to get better, because that is up to you, but we'll go into the double end bag and work on those pull counters one more time. Now we're going to get the pulls on the double end bag. Same thing as we go here, get into the shot right over that toe. Stationary first. Southpaw as well. And if we take a look at, from a stationary standpoint, where you're shooting that shot and then how it looks when we go ahead and get into movement. If you notice here, once again, if I'm circling to the left and I get here and I get into my pull, now if you notice, this double end bag is over my right toe or over my right side. So that's where I'm working on shooting the shot. So movement, movement, pull down over my right toe. If I'm doing it from a southpaw standpoint, once again, and I'm circling to the right this time, it's movement, movement, down now over my left toe, because I'm allowing my opponent to still move and I'm moving at the same time. But this is how you're able to use the double end bag to go ahead and get better at this. Before we get into the shadow boxing, is understanding why are all these tools important and not important at the same time. One, you're learning to get better without your coach, if you do have a coach. Or two, you're learning to get better without a coach, period, because you don't have one at all. So what I've seen is anybody who has the highest chance of success at getting good at something, they understand how to work out on their own and why. So a double end bag is a way to work on the timing of somebody's head movement, because this moves a little bit faster than what the bag does. The bag is a way for you to work on your technique and power, that you have an external force that's a little bit heavier, so you can get used to that punch resistance when you're actually hitting an opponent. Now when we go shadow boxing, we're going for in the mirror. Now we can take our time and make sure that our technique is perfect, because all this needs to transition to what we're actually applying in a fight, or looking like we can go ahead and fight. But that's how we use the double end bag. The last thing as a bonus, like I said, we'll hop into the ring and look at shadow boxing. The last thing we have going on is shadow boxing, and why is that important? It's technically fight choreography. So you're just walking through what may potentially happen when you're looking at setting up these shots. The other importance and great thing about shadow boxing is you don't need equipment. You don't even need a ring. It's just you choreographing what a fight may potentially look like. Moving linear, which is either up and back, or lateral, left and right, but then also in a circle. So you're working on doing all those things, but now we're just incorporating what may happen with the pull counter as we get through here. Maybe getting our circles in as well, moving around our opponent, maybe moving to the right to get into a pull counter and exiting out, doing it from a southpaw stance as well, moving to the right, dipping and exiting out, moving to the left, same thing, dipping and exiting out. Doing this from a shadow boxing standpoint allows you to slow down and make sure you're doing things correctly. So that way when you see this in application, you're prepared for it from top to bottom. But that is pull counters. This is just one specific way you can work on pull counters. There's other things that you can weaponize, either your hands with catching counters, either your feet with shifts and movement as well, and creating angles, but this is just one way to work on a pull counter. If you want a system from top to bottom of what you need to do to get better at boxing on a day-to-day basis, I got you. Also, if you need strength and conditioning to amplify that system, I got you as well. And then lastly, the fuel and nutrition you need. Take the free quiz. I have the link for you so we can get a personalized program for you, but that's it. Pull counters. We'll see you in the next one.